Hey friends, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina, I am your host, and I am super excited to be here with you today to go over the Graco 4Ever DLX Grad. Whew, that was a mouthful. It is a mouthful and it can do quite a bit. So it's fitting that it would have a very, very long name. This is a car seat that Graco offers. Now, keep in mind, I don't sell Graco car seats. So this is not a brand that I am super familiar with, but I do get asked about them all the time. So I do like to cover some of the things that they're offering, and I think it's also useful for my customers to understand that I am aware of everything on the market in all kinds of different price points. So to be fair, this is on the higher end of what Graco offers for seats in terms of pricing. This guy is going to be $399 retail. And what are you getting for that money? You are getting a backward facing seat that goes from 5 to 40 pounds. You will get a forward facing seat that will harness from 22 to 65 pounds. You can then turn it into a high back booster. You can also remove the back and it will become a backless booster. The other part of the seat that is pretty wild that I didn't really understand, which was the whole reason I got the seat in to begin with, is that it comes with a piece called a seatbelt trainer. Now, I am a car seat technician, so seat trainers are not something I'm super familiar with. It's not a term I remember studying when I became certified. So I wanted to get the seat to sort of see what the hell a seat trainer was, to be perfectly frank. And now that I've seen it and I've got it in front of me, it's actually pretty cool. So let's get into some of the basics, things that are typical from this brand. So to be fair, this will absolutely come with an infant insert. It comes with a headpiece and a body piece. I put mine in the box and I'm not sure where I set the box, but it does come with those pieces. I'm pretty sure it comes with a buckle cover as well. So you would have those pieces and it might even come with harness covers. It did say that the body piece that I removed, that is only for rear facing use. So it's for little babies and it would have to be used in rear facing under 20 pounds. So if you're using it on the higher end of the rear facing mode from 20 to 40 pounds, you're gonna wanna make sure that you remove that infant insert, which is what I have already done. Now, the seat comes with 2 cup holders as well. We do love that. They can rotate outward and inward. Now, why does that matter? It matters because this is technically one of the seats that Graco calls a slim car seat. So when we say slim, typically that would refer to a seat that's going to be 17 inches or narrower. There's very few that have ever even been narrower than that. But 17 inches is sort of like the golden number that you're looking for if you're trying to do 3 seats next to each other in the vehicle. So this seat is 17.5 inches wide at its widest point. So it's really, really narrow. It's not 17 inches narrow, but it is 17.5 inches narrow, which is pretty great. And we will circle back to that narrow conversation when we talk about the seatbelt trainer. So it will all make sense. As I was saying, the seat would initially start as a rear-facing seat. So in typical Graco fashion, you have the option to recline the seat. That's only about halfway reclined. There we go. So the seat will have, I believe it's 3 positions for rear-facing and then 2 to 3 for forward-facing. It's a little bit unusual, but they have some recommendations for the higher ends of the spectrum of the seat. So that's just something to be aware of. It's really clearly marked on the side of the seat how to use it. You do have lower anchors that are the IMI brand, so they're fancy lower anchors, very nice. They will do rear-facing harness the entire time. So it has a rear-facing harness capacity of 40 pounds. The same is true for those lower anchors. So you don't have to reinstall this with a seatbelt for rear-facing mode ever, provided you're using it in accordance with the way it's meant to be used. Now, for a forward-facing, it will utilize the lower anchors up to 45 pounds. And then at that point, you would want to install with a seatbelt. Now, to be fair, I really have to give them credit because for both rear and forward facing installation, I'm going to undo this harness. You do have some nice premium style features where you get the little buckle tucks. So those are elastic and you can just shove your buckle pieces over to the side and that will hold them away from the child. I'm gonna remove the belt trainer right now. Oh, I guess I don't really need to illustrate my point, so we'll leave it in. The seat has this snug lock technology. So this is a compression arm that you will use if you're using a seatbelt to install the seat. In forward facing, it's very, very likely you will be using a seatbelt at some point to install the seat to be in accordance with the instructions. So it's nice that it has a forward facing lock off. It has that same style lock off for rear facing as well. So if you did want to do a belt installation, and specifically if you're doing 3 across, it's high likelihood that you'll have to use the seat belt and you won't be able to use the lower anchors. It's super nice that you have the lock off technology for both rear and forward facing. That's actually a huge gripe I have with their super slim seat. It doesn't have a rear facing lock off. It only has a forward facing lock off. So that's pretty frustrating, especially if you're trying to do 3 across and you do want to do one backward. It's a little trickier to get the seat to tighten in properly. Now, when you do the lock off on the seat, the instructions say you don't have to engage the retractor on your seatbelt and lock it off there, but they do encourage you to do so just to prevent kids from pulling and playing with the seatbelt. So you can't really screw it up, so I give them high points for that. Something else that's nice on the seat is you do get the EPS, which is like the white bike helmet foam throughout the headrest. It wasn't in any of the other parts of the seat underneath in the body that I was able to find, but that is something, at least on the headrest, which is a 10 position height adjustment. It's a nice feature. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the seat belt trainer right now. And something that's cool is that you can use this seat with or without this component all the time. And it's really clearly called out in the instructions, so I do give them credit for that. I didn't want that to be confusing. And again, we're gonna go over what this does in a second. But the seat itself is pretty awesome. It has a width of about 12 inches, which is really nice. And I feel like it has the depth. Yeah, the depth here is crazy. The depth is about 13.5. So it's a very deep seat for kids that are older. That's a nice feature because obviously their legs are longer. If we're thinking about our belt harness height, it's 18 inches of seated torso height on the harness. So that's really nice. And again, goes to 65 pounds. Now it's a 49 standing inch on the 5-point harness. And then for the high back booster, you can go from 40 to 100 pounds in high back booster, and that will work between 43 and 57 standing inches. So that's quite a nice long body, and we've got belt guides on both sides. But again, one of the things that's cool is when you're ready for it to be the booster, on the inside here, they have a panel that opens up to be able to store all of the harness, which is really nice. You don't have to take it off and lose it. You're able to store it, which is great. And then the big thing that these seats that people get geeked about and they think is the coolest thing in the world is that you can remove it to use the booster seat on its own. How to do that? And this is their fabric that's removable, washable, super easy. I will give them credit. It's very, very easy to lift the padding up here and get at all of this stuff you're supposed to be able to get at. Some of the brands make it a nightmare. This is Velcro, so very clear and simple. There's red tabs on the inside. The pieces squeeze together. Once you've done that, in theory, we should be able to take this off. There's a handle down low, and it's supposed to tip forward and come off. So yeah, I mean, holy cow. There's that steel reinforced frame. That's actually really cool. It's cool to see that. So yeah, you get the steel reinforced frame. And then we've got just the booster on the lower seat. Now, this booster is 17.5 inches wide, so that's still pretty narrow. And it's gonna have, there's a place obviously to store all the stuff, including the buckle, so that it's comfortable for your child. And again, will look like that. 2 cup holders, really cool. But it does come with a seatbelt trainer. So the seatbelt trainer is for kids 50 pounds and above, whereas the other booster with the high back starts at 40. And this guy is ultra narrow and has these pieces on the side for the belt guide. I think this is really cool because older kids frequently do not want to be sitting in these big clunky boosters. This little booster is very low profile, like none of their friends would have to see if they were getting in and out of the car. It wouldn't be like this big thing called out that they were still in their little kid car seat. So anything that helps encourage good behavior for longer, I'm a huge fan of. So this is for kids 50 to 120 pounds. And they can be between 43 and 60 inches. So it does go a little higher. They do give you the little shoulder belt adjustment guide if you want to be able to use it like that. The thing that is kind of annoying about this is that these belt pieces fold underneath, and when you're trying to put the seat back together, specifically to get the buckle to go through, these pieces have to be unengaged. You'll feed the buckle through and then they'll close up, but the buckle won't go through otherwise because it's too narrow of a position. But again, you don't have to use this part. So I was like, who would care about a seatbelt trainer? Why is that even a thing? And why would anybody be impressed by that? But now that I've thought about it and had some time with this seat, and we'll see if we can get it back together as easily as we took it apart. It's the real question. Where the seatbelt trainer is a triumph. Oh cool, there's guides in here. Hopefully that will make this easy. Where the seatbelt trainer, oh, you know what? I put those red pieces back. Where the seatbelt trainer is a triumph is that if we're talking about a narrow situation where you want to fit 3 across or you want to have more room for the adults in your life, and you buy a car seat and you already have a bunch of other stuff, this could be useful because you're given a narrow booster to use with your older kid. So if you're using a booster that looks like this, and you have like another big chunky car seat, something's gonna have to go. If you buy this seat, you're not only getting the narrow car seat for, let's say, the second child, and now that other round car seat can be used for the third child, your older one that was in the booster can now fit into the seatbelt trainer, you know, provided they're the right size. But squeezing this in between 2 car seats is gonna be 1,000 times easier than the monster booster scenario. So I do think that this seat is a bit of a triumph. It's very narrow. It's 12 inches wide on the interior, so it's nice and spacious for kids. It's very deep. It has a pretty decent seated torso harness height, and the weight and height restrictions are within like very typical, if not like higher end stuff. So that's really cool. The other part is you can keep it latched and top tethered in while it's being used in booster mode for high back booster. So I do love that. Yeah. So that was a lot of information. If you have questions or if you have comments, feel free to leave them below, and please feel free to hit like or subscribe. We value every viewer and every single view. But yeah, this is a pretty great little car seat. This color is called Harrison. Yeah, Graco little 4Ever DLX Grad 5-in-1 seat with seatbelt trainer. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you at our next video.